Oil and food prices are surging, but the Federal Reserve is trying to tell us not to worry about inflation. The Fed's second highest ranking official, Vice Chair Janet Yellen, just said price increases of oil, grain, and other commodities are, quote, unlikely to have persistent effects on consumer inflation or to derail the economic recovery. What recovery? Should we pay any attention to the central bank that monetizes billions of our debt by printing cash? Let's ask syndicated radio talk show host and my friend Nancy Skinner and Mark Calabria, Director of Financial Regulation Studies at the Cato Institute. Mark, to you first. Does the Fed just so enjoy its position of dominance in our economic system that it will not look at things like gasoline, potatoes, corn, and beer going up almost right before our very eyes?
Well, I think the Fed is stuck in this framework where more inflation is going to get us more employment. They're stuck in this Keynesian Phillips curve framework that is simply broken and is simply false. So I think with their mindset, they don't want to acknowledge these things because they would admit that there are costs to the actions that they're pursuing. They're going to pursue this course regardless because they look at the unemployment numbers. That's all they look at, and they believe that the more money they pump out there, they'll be able to bring down the unemployment numbers. Now, since I think that's false, they're absolutely ignoring what are very real costs in the economy. All
right, Nancy, you are a woman of the people. You stand up for the little guys. I know this because we do this all the time on Freedom Watch. Isn't it really the middle class and even the poorer folks among us who get hurt the most by the Fed's money printing, inflation causing problems? You might be able to afford $4 a gallon for gasoline, but a lot of people will think twice about driving to work if it costs them that much to fill the tank.
Well, here's the thing, Judge, that your solution, even if I assume you to be correct, and I don't, because there's a difference between wage inflation and energy and commodities, as we've discussed many times.
We're talking about price inflation.
Because you know what? Wage inflation is what we really worry about, because that means there's enough pricing power that everyone, we're so employed that workers can demand more wages, and so the price of everything goes up. In this case, we have commodities and energy.
Right.
But I'll go with your premise and say that we should do something, okay? So what do? We raise inflation, we raise interest rates. What does that do? That crushes our economic recovery. That crushes the people who are trying to work. The price of gas will go down. The price of commodities will come down. But overall, you don't want to raise interest rates. And if you're worried about our deficit in this situation, you raise interest rates, that makes bonds less attractive.
All right, I understand the argument. I understand the argument.
We'd have to raise, our debt goes up.
But Mark, this argument presumes that central control of the economy is a better market mechanism than the free choices of free people. Why don't we have that in our system?
And that's the important thing, is these record low rates are also distorting the banking system. Right now, banks could just load up on government debt, borrow from the Fed, and enjoy a 3% spread risk-free. They have no incentive. It's actually a false sort of belief that the banking system stopped lending. They just changed to who they were lending to. Bank balance sheets actually increased because they kept buying more and more government debt and less business loans. Now, if you believe that more government debt's productive for the economy, that's great. But if you actually think we're going to get out of this by growing business, then we're going the absolute wrong direction.
All right. More with Nancy Skinner and Mark Calabria.
Mark on that
we'll get
point.
right back to you, Nancy, right after the break.